Hey everyone, welcome back to another round, Volume 4 of Midi Drums Made Simple. We're here with the kid, and again, I'd like to do a quick recap of what we've learned so far. And I'll advise you guys, if this is the first video you clicked on, go back and watch Volumes 1 through 3. Volume 1, we learned how to get a MIDI drum file out of a Guitar Pro tab or a regular MIDI file, a .mid file that you can download for free online. Volume 2, we looked at the Humanize and Humanize function in Logic, also found in most other DAWs worth their salt, and that is where it allows you to make the MIDI notes fall a little bit less off a grid, feels a little less machine gunny, a little less drum machiney, a bit more natural. We learned how to randomize the velocity of our hits to make sure that our kick drums or snares, again, the snares don't sound like a machine gun pattern, and just more natural as to how a drummer would play, right, with the Hey everybody, welcome back. Oh, gee, seriously? Oh. Hey y'all, welcome back to another Donkeys and Demos. You're here with the kid, as always. And we're going to get into Volume 4 of the Midi Drums Made Simple series that the kid's working on. This one, we're going to talk about taking existing MIDI drum loops that you could find online, whether you're buying them or you download some free ones, or you're getting ones out of, say we'll be using Easy Drummer, so Easy Drummer comes with a bunch of loops as well. Just how you can take something that's pretty close to the sound or the beat that you're hearing in your head, but you would go over how you modify that to fit the needs of your song or the needs of your project, right? Because it's my opinion that it's pretty rare that an existing loop is going to be exactly what you're looking for. It might be 90% of the way there, and it's a good starting point. But this way, at least you'll know the best way to kind of grab something that's close, how to tweak it quickly, and make it fit. Again, recap what we learned in Volumes 1 through 3. Volume 1, we looked at taking a Guitar Pro tab that you can download online or taking a regular MIDI file and how you import that into your DAW. We looked in Volume 2 at how you use the Humanize function of your DAW to make the drum pattern less fixed on a grid, as it were, in the piano roll. So it's not snapped to an 8th or 16th, right? How you can add a little bit of variance. It'll make things come in a little bit ahead of the beat, a little bit behind the beat, but technically it'll all still kind of be on time. We looked at how you randomize in that same volume, how you randomize the velocities of your drum hits, right? Because we know a drummer is not going to hit his snare at the same attack on every hit, so we explained that. And then in Volume 3, we looked at creating your own beat from scratch, just simply from a blank MIDI region, and how we just penciled in or used our keyboard to tap in beats and created sounds from scratch. So in this one, again, we're going to just take existing loops, we're going to modify them, and I thought we would do something cool and take a classic in my opinion, and we're going to recreate the beats from Ace of Spades from Motörhead. So let's get started. I've got the Ace of Spades right here, and we're just going to see in Logic. I'll go ahead, I've got a track already loaded up with my Easy Drummer kit. One thing I did do on the kit was swapped out the snare drum on this modern basic that comes with to something that's a little trashier. So that's the default snare, and I just felt this was a little bit more filthy. So on Ace of Spades, we know it starts for an 8 count of Lem on the bass, and then Phil comes in with a snare fill that kind of builds up for the 8 count, and then the song kicks in. So here's what we got. Just thinking about it. You can do it. Okay, so that's the intro to the song. First and foremost, I kind of have the rough tempo in here. I mess with this a little bit. It's about 152 beats per minute. I am going to create an 8 count because who knows, maybe I'll record a version of this. I like to record some cover songs and have fun with them. So I'll create an empty MIDI region, and I'll probably actually do a 16. I'll do 8 to lead in for where the bass part would be. Then, you know, you got an 8 count for Lemmy's bass part, and then we'll start with the fill. So as we learned in volume 3, let's find where our hi-hats are. I like that one. Come on, you. It's like I've never done this before. Okay. Again, we're just MIDI or option dragging over. So that would be my count in. I'm going to dupe this again. So this is for Lem's bass. And then we're going to find a MIDI drum loop that will work for our intro fill. So I have some Groove Monkey. That's what these GM folders are that I've purchased. And let me tell you something, you guys. Buy stuff. Don't steal stuff. You know what I'm saying? Whether or not you find someone's work particularly valuable, they put time and effort into getting these things put together, and it's $10. Spend the $10. Don't be cheap. So what I would do normally is just start going through my fills folders, right? So I just need something. It doesn't even have to be a full snare fill, and this is what I was talking about when I say we're going to take something existing and modify it. Nope. So check out another folder. Bonus fills. That's obviously not it. The metal one, that's usually where my go-to for stuff. Oh. Nope. There it is. So now it's not all snare, that's okay. And I'm not going to import the tempo. It'll ask you a lot of times if you want to import the tempo. That's what this 200 is here. It means it was recorded at 200 beats a minute. I'm going to say no. So now what I'm going to do, if you remember from volume 2, so here are the hits, right? Starts on the snare, goes to a tom, back to the snare, back to another tom. So we're just going to take these and we're going to move them down to the snare. We're going to take these guys, move them down to the snare as well. Aha! You see where I'm going with this? Now we're going to take these guys, we're going to copy and paste them. Now we have cool. So I'm going to get rid of these kicks because fill does not have kicks at the beginning of the drum fill. I'm going to go and I've got my velocity tool selected, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit on these guys here, on this guy. So this is the first half of the fill, and he comes in and it builds up. So now I'll start lowering these as a group, right? So they're going to fade in a little bit. So that's cool. Bring this up. Bring these guys up, bring this guy up. These guys, the last few are pretty hard hit. So now I'm going to take this whole group. From here, build them up a hair so they're a hair louder than this first part. Take these two guys, bring them up, and then I'm going to bring all of these up a little bit as a group. You guys a little louder. You want it to be in that kind of orange to red area. But some of that little extra variance, like this hits really hard, this hits really hard. These are harder than this. That's that inconsistency that a real drummer would have, right? It wouldn't be all one color to one color to one color to one color. So I want these guys to be... He's killing it at the end of that. These guys will come up a little bit. Okay, so let's listen to what we got on Phil's fill. I think that's pretty solid. So we'll bump that up to our intro. Perfect. So now we need the basic drum beat, right? And it's kind of muddy to hear. So it's kind of like the kind of average punk rock or old school classic metal beat. Kick snare, kick kick snare, kick snare, kick kick snare. That's referred to, I believe, as a skank beat. But he's got a couple of extra little foot hits in there. So instead of being doot dat doot dat doot dat doot doot, he's like doot dat doot dat doot doot. If that makes sense. So we're going to try to find something close. And I know that's close. So these are all 150 beats per minute, downbeat 1. The Groove Monkey ones would say open hi-hat, right? That's open hi-hat A. So it's just like 4 measures of that beat with no fills. And then F1, F2, that means it's 2 measures, and at the end of each there's a fill. And the good thing is you can hear they're already not super quantized. But I tend to think most of his beats are based around these kind of what they're calling skank beats. And it's an upbeat. That's pretty darn close already. So it's got a fill at the end. Let's take a listen one more time. So there's no big fill at the end of his that intro to the song when it goes into the verse, so we'll not put one there. So I'm going to grab just a 2 measure one. We're going to bring that over, and again we are not going to import the tempo. And so we've got this beat. And we know, like I said, the kick pattern is a little different than what what this beat has. So we're going to just move a couple things around. You can see, again, those velocities. It's already not quantized. You can see we would use the Humanize to make what's going on here happen. You can see this is a little bit ahead of the beat, a little ahead of the beat, right on, a little ahead, kind of way ahead. That's perfect. So we're not even going to mess with this. And you can see those velocities like we set in volume 2 of our videos, anywhere between 127, 90, 98. So a lot of fluctuation. So if you set your velocities to 100 to 127, you're going to get patterns like this. That's why that Humanize and random velocity functions are so important, right? It makes things sound natural. These loops are all played by a drummer on a V-drum kit. So anyway, so he does kick snare. There's another kick right here. It does a do-do. Is it after? Is it after? Let's see. That's it. My goodness. So now, we're going to get rid of these guys and paste this in, right? Yeah, let's see. So he just does a do-da-do-do-da. So could be there. Nope. That's it. And then these, the symbols would be crashes. So let's see. And there's a crash here also. I like that guy at the end. And there's velocity up. Thank you, down in China. All right, so. I want those snares to be a little crackier on all of these. That's it. And I think on the one on all of these, he hits a crash. Let's take a listen. Maybe not. Really? So, okay. So the first time through he doesn't do it. No crash there. That one's right. And then there should be another one here. So those are good. Bringing a little bit more pop out on these snares. I think these kicks are a little too much. He's hauling ass, so he's not hitting at that high velocity. I'm going to keep this first one. Okay, so we've got the intro. I think these hats, though, we're going to move these down. And then some of these he closes up. So same thing there. Okay, we've got the, that's the intro beat. And then we're going to bring that guy back, put these together, and we're going to hear it again. Bass. If you hear, you can hear those hi-hats closing in here, and I think if you're going to recreate something, you know, do it cool. And oh, it just did a little. This is actually 3 snares. That. There you go. That's it. So now we're going to bring back Easy Drummer back out, and we're going to start with the same beat, but I'll take one that has a little fill in it because I think he does a fill at the end of that verse. Yeah, so he does a fill there, and he also does something different with his foot. It's 2 kicks at the beginning of each measure. It's not kick snare, which is weird. And there's a crash on the first kick, but it's kick, kick, snare. So we'll alter that. So back to this skank beat. Let's get beat. That's pretty close to what he actually plays at the end. Close enough anyway. So now to this guy. So we hear this has to be a crash. We know that. It's got to be a loud crash. We're going to move this down to a kick. We'll move these guys back down to a different hi-hat. Bring the velocity up on all of them. And the snares. Is do 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 da do 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 da do 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 da do. Nope. That's it. Need all of it, actually. Paste it in. So this should be it. So I'm gonna add some kicks. That's, and then you just go back to that that basic intro beat, right? That's the let's see. So this is from the If You Like to Gamble. And now I think we can just use that regular skank beat for the pleasure is to play. It makes no difference what you say. So we would actually take this. I'm going to take this, cut it in half, because it leads in with a crash anyway. Let's see. Then back into the... That's it. That's it. That's Ace of Spades. And then you would just keep taking these parts and tweaking them. So like here... So here we got it. Let's take a look. So there, you know, you make a big fill. So yeah. So these guys would probably come down a little bit in velocity. You know, and as he's going around, he's expelling a little less and less energy subsequently. And that's it. That's editing, you know, existing MIDI loops to fit the project you're working on. So the only other thing that I will do here, just to show you, is the breakdown for the "You Know I'm Born to Lose" and "Gamble Ends for Fools." Right. So making the MIDI region, and we know starts with a smack, the kick drum, snare, tom, doom. So back to our kick drum. There it is. he's whacking the hell out of these. I'm going to copy it up for a snare, then copy it up for a tom. And then again, he's not going to hit them all at the same time, so I'm going to zoom in real big and adjust. So hit the tom a little bit later. Don't want to play the flam, but you want him to be a little bit off too, because he's never, the likelihood of him at the same time is nil. And again, this is just placeholder for me to lay the stuff out. Here. So there'll be these guys again. We'll copy them in place here. And there's got to be one here. Right? So it's, I'm born to lose and gambling's for fools. So now we can, again, randomize it again. Maybe that one's on. He's going to hit these hard. Floor tom he'll hit a little softer than. Copy these again. That that's the way I like the baby part. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to copy and paste these guys since they're close together. Then there's a little snare, I think this is right. There you go. So now we can get rid of these hi-hats. And then these build a little bit, right? So blues. And gambling's for fools, but that's the way I like it, baby. I don't want to lose. There you have it. Ace of Spades. All you would do is just go back through and start taking these things and doing your little tweaks, right, to individualize the snare or the rolls at the end of the measures or at the end of the transitional parts. You can piece together a song relatively quickly. So from the beginning, we'll just take it from where the bass comes in, or the song. So there you go, Ace of Spades. You saw quickly how, or I don't know if it's quickly, how just using pre-existing drum loops, literally one fill and one basic beat, and we got all these little bits of variety and variance out of it. The drums already are they're not quantized, so we don't have to go through and use the Humanize function. And since an actual drummer played these on a MIDI kit, all that velocity variance is already built into the loop, so you don't have to adjust that. But again, if you go back to volume 2 and you look at the ranges I set on kick drums, on hi-hats, on snares, you can see they line up pretty well with a drummer playing hard rock or metal. So that's where these drum loops end up being a really, really good way for you to see the right way to program your drums from a velocity and humanization standpoint. So do not discount the MIDI loops. I know some people think, oh, if I'm using pre-made MIDI drum loops, then it's taking all the creativity away from me or my drummer. No, it's not. Your drummer's going to play something like this anyway. So use the tools you have. Make life simple. That's my motto. Get your stuff out there. If it's going to take you a month to get a drummer into a studio, do this in an hour. Have the drummer sit with you. You guys put the beats together yourselves. That way he has some input, and he's going to help you program it the way he would play it. What's the problem? Anyway, so there you have it. If you haven't checked out the other vids, go back and check out volumes 1 through 3. And again, as always, I hope this was a help, and I hope you got something useful out of it. Drink coffee.